Today's video is going to be the first of a two-part series about the state of sports cards in 2024 and what sports card investors can do to make more money in the long term. In today's video in particular, I'm going to unpack a website that is a fantastic secret tool for any sports card investor to have on their belt. But first, the intro. So last night I was watching the Presidential State of the Union address and it went a lot better than I figured it probably could. The president lived through the end of it. Somehow he's holding on. But that got me thinking, I want to do the same sort of thing but with sports cards. Talk about where we're at in the industry because let's be real, there's been a lot of ups and downs in the last 2 or 3 years. We've seen a sports card boom and then some fall off, and where are we at now? Especially with Topps taking over and so much change within the industry, what comes next? So here's part 1 of my Sports Card State of the Union address.
The cards per box keep going down, but the prices keep going up. Shrinkflation.
Okay, it's not that. As long as there's no stairs involved, we should be good. It's gonna be more looking at a website that all collectors should find very useful. Cardlines.com. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's not that either. I'm a sellout, but I'm not that big of a sellout. Today we're talking about GemRate.com. The URL is just gemrate.com/dash for the homepage. And it is a breakdown of the industry grading report. So basically it's going to give you a day-by-day analysis of what's happening in the industry and what the output is by company, by sport, by figure, and or Pokemon character. This is all kinds of stuff. A lot of detailed breakdown. We're going to look through some of it and figure out what we can learn from it. Most importantly, how it helps sports card collectors. So the landing page obviously shows the big grading companies and their volume for what they graded yesterday. I'm not 100% sure where GemRate gets their information. I'm sure it's disclosed. Now it says down here in fine print, all data sources from population reports. Nice. So they update this every morning. So it looks at what they did yesterday versus the day before, the previous 7 days, whether they're up or down, the previous 30 days, so you get like a feel for this month versus last month, and then daily grades, recent pace, their annual output. So that's a lot of good stuff in looking at like short-term trends, but then down here you can see here's daily trends. So some days they have like monstrous days. Apparently they did 120,000 cards approximately. We can zoom out and see more trend lines that are a little bit longer tailed. So if I want to go month by month, we can look back to March 2021, which is when this started as a website, started being compiled. And you can just see general trends up. So there's so much of that like, oh, sports cards are dying. Nobody's buying cards anymore. Clearly they're buying cards because cards are getting graded. I just think in general, the easiest thing to point to and say the card market's healthy is that the grading trends are going up. It's obviously getting more affordable to grade cards, which, like, thank goodness it was crazy when you were paying $40 a piece for PSA basic economy slabs. But just in general, as these numbers increase, it's some vitality within the industry. And then there's this category trends that breaks down by sport or TCG. And TCG is always the big one, which is wild to me. If you like visualizing the numbers a little bit more than the charts, this lays that out a little bit better, more detailed. And you can sort trending players and subjects and just see who's popular lately. Obviously Wemby, Michael Jordan, Shohei, CJ Stroud. And then the fan favorites like Charizard, Pikachu, Mew? I think it's Mew. Might have said that wrong. I don't know. Monkey D. Luffy is a popular one with the kids. I'm just kidding. I have no idea what that is. Is that a Pokemon? There's no way. The heck is this? Then you can look at sets that are popular. So Panini Prism Football is number 1 right now. Makes sense. It's at the point now where it's been released long enough. People are getting their cards and submitting them, and PSA's processing them and grading them. But I would imagine Prism Basketball is going to start shooting up there pretty darn soon because it was a little bit later release. And then Pokemon sets. So if you're wondering about what are the hottest sets and what are the hottest sellers in the market, just come look here. In general, these sets are going to lag behind the hot releases by a month probably, because you got to have, like, again, time for the collectors to process the cards, send them in, and then PSA to get them graded and logged. But these are the cards that are going to be hot on eBay when they're getting graded and returned back to the sellers. There's a breakdown of cards for the last week. The Donruss CJ Stroud base has been graded the most, and that's mainly the homepage. So that's the dashboard. If we go to Universal Search, so I can search for any card, and then, so I did the Luka Prism Rookie, for example. And then it gives me the grading breakdown for PSA, BGS, SGC, and CGC in comparison. So that's really cool. It gives you a feel for like how tough the companies grade as well. I'd pick a really high pop card like this Luka Rookie or maybe the Zion Rookie. That was a really popular one. The Zion Prism Rookie was graded a ton because it was the hot release during the sports card boom. And you can compare them head to head and just get a feel for like how these companies grade. And here's something I've never actually done. I want to see how closely this aligns with the actual PSA population report. We're testing. I will say it's a lot easier to search gym rate than the PSA website. I've always thought the PSA website population report is terrible. So here's the numbers: 37,259. We got 37,410. So these guys are seeing into the future. 15,759 nines. 15,739. It's so close. It is very close. I don't know 100% what the discrepancies are unless these guys have updated ahead of PSA. That doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense to me. Either way, they're very, very, very close, so I think you can look at these with pretty high confidence. There's also population data, which breaks down sets and players, and you can look at trends over time. So if you go there, it shows you different sets that you can check through. For example, let's look at the 86-87 Fleer set. Obviously the Michael Jordan rookie. Shows you grading breakdown and how these cards gym out, what their gym rate is. It's very cool. You can go to top cards of all time and it shows you the most graded cards ever. So number one, of course, is the Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card that's been graded 107,000 times. But the gym rate here, this part's the particularly interesting part, is just 4%. So you can see what gets a 10, 1 9 or a 9.5 or 10, I think, is considered gym with BGS included. But you can see the gym rate. It's crazy how high some of the gym rates are. Obviously, the modern cards you would think should gym at a pretty high percentage. This is a 2019-20 card, this Ja Morant rookie. So it makes sense that it comes out of the pack grading reasonably well. It's just centering the issue on those Prism releases, those recent Prism releases. But this is particularly cool. You can search cards. So again, here's the Luka Prism rookie, been graded 37,410 times, and it's been a gym just about half of those times, 53%. They also, if you go to resource and click on blog, this is kind of interesting, they give you a breakdown month by month. They've released like a total compilation, but there's not a whole lot of context outside of that. So if you're thinking, you know what would help pull these together, some added context, fortunately we've got you covered. Every month we actually break these down on cardlines.com, looking at their numbers and then making the analysis so that you don't necessarily have to. We crunch the numbers and then use that to make some high-level takeaways about the industry. That's analysis about not only the companies, but particular players you should be buying, particular players you should probably avoid buying, and particular sports to watch as well. So that's Gym Rate, and I highly encourage you to check it out. It's very useful, and even if you just use it for looking at population reports compared to trying to sift through the BGS or the PSA population report, Gym Rate's going to be a whole lot better, a whole lot faster. It's a whole lot more user-friendly. The numbers aren't necessarily one-to-one, but they're so close that it doesn't matter. But the big question, what does it tell us about the current state of the sports card industry? For one, I'd say it's very, very healthy. As we saw from the trend lines, there are more cards being graded basically every month. Sure, there's a few times where there's a little bit of lull in the action, but that's mainly the times when at least 2 of the 3 major sports aren't being played. Fact is, if NBA and NFL's not going on, there's just not going to be as many cards graded. Same thing with MLB. During the offseason, there's going to be a dip in baseball cards graded just because people aren't watching and necessarily thinking about that sport. But when people are playing sports, cards are healthy, and the industry is very alive. But in part 2, which is coming sometime next week, presumably, I haven't recorded it yet, but probably, I'm going to deliver 5 points I think sports card investors should bear in mind as they invest in cards in 2024. I hope you come back for that one. That's going to be a good one. And while you wait, go play on gymrate.com and let them know that we sent you. I don't think you can actually contact them in any way. Anyways, watch another video.